Hello.
Hi,
Happy
guys.
St. Patrick's Day. Richard is in Green Bay, Wisconsin. All right, today we were talking about how Dave Ramsey was shocked she could live on Social Security alone. So I sent this video to Mom because I was just like, oh my goodness. So the Dave Ramsey had a 76-year-old lady call in. She gets $2,600 a month of Social Security, and she had $100,000 saved up in the bank. And she called in to say, am I doing the best thing with my money? And he said, well, why don't you put it in the stock market? She said, well, I don't trust the stock market. He said, okay, well, why not? She said, well, I think it's going to collapse any day now. And then she said, so I just need to know, am I doing the best thing? He said, do you have enough money to live on? She said, well, I get $2,600 a month from my Social Security. I save $1,000 a month. And I don't touch the $100,000 in my checking account. And Dave was like, okay. You could tell he was speechless momentarily there and a little shocked. And he basically said, well, are you happy living on that? Because you're losing $10,000 a year by not investing that money. She said, well, how am I losing money? He said, well, because you're not putting it in to earn interest on that money. She said, oh, I'm fine with that. And he said, well, okay, I guess if you're fine with that, then I wouldn't do anything and just leave it alone. But it was sort of a tone of, I can't believe anybody would live on Social Security and that's it. It was his kind of, he didn't say that in so many words, but that was kind of his attitude about it was, and he was nice about it. I'm not saying he wasn't nice about it or anything, but it was just kind of a shocked attitude that someone could live on Social Security and be okay with only living on Social Security. So I sent it to Mom because I'm like, oh man.
Well, she said she was really comfortable too. She said she
said,
had
really
everything, anything I want, and she just was really comfortable.
And she was good with it. And I said, okay, we've got to do a video on this because people think you have to have a lot of money to retire. And you have to have all this money and you can't possibly live on Social Security. No, you can't possibly live on Social Security if you're going to be traveling, buying boats, buying RVs, going on vacation.
If you have lots of debt.
If you're supplementing debt out the wazoo. Did we ever define what the wazoo was?
No. No, I'm not sure we want to.
And so Mom and I were talking and we saw this other lady. I just watched it yesterday and then she saw it, day before yesterday. This other lady on a different show. I don't remember the name of the show. Sorry, or I would put the name in there. I can't remember. I think it was Caleb something or another maybe. But anyway, she had $100,000 in debt. She was 30 some odd years old, making $14 an hour. This guy, this financial advisor, gave her $300 a month for groceries. And she was like, well, I guess if I just have to eat ramen, I'll just eat ramen.
But notice what she did. $300 for one person for groceries a month. And her immediate reaction wasn't, I'm going to make this work. You know, that's more than plenty. I'm going to even try to make it less so I can add more to my debt. She didn't react with any of those things. She immediately says, well, I guess I'm just going to have to live off of ramen noodles. She immediately went from, you get $300 a month for groceries to, well, all that I can do is just live on ramen noodles. It's the attitude, that's what people think. It's if I don't have a whole bunch of money pouring in every month, I'm just not going to be happy. I'm not going to have everything I want. I'm not going to be able to pay my
utilities.
Yeah.
I can't pay my house payment. I can't pay my rent. I just can't do
unless
anything.
I have a certain amount coming in, and a huge amount, a bigger amount. But the thing was that appalled me was that what she was spending it on.
This is the second lady.
The second lady, not the older lady.
Who was overweight, having
excessively overweight,
having heart and medical issues because she's overweight and she's so stressed out from her finances. Go ahead.
And she's having to see a therapist because she's so stressed out from the finances, from being overweight, and she stress shops, so she's going to a therapist. Now, what caught me, there's nothing wrong with going to the therapist, but to show you how much of the stuff you hear about what you should do with your money and not do with your money and all this, a lot of these methods do not work because she's been going to that therapist for 2 years.
If you've been to a therapist for 2 years, unless you were just like locked in the basement somewhere with horrible abuse,
stuff.
Your therapy should be mostly done in 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, it really should. You either have a very bad therapist or there's something weird happening.
And she may be in that case. We don't know for sure. We don't know what she was
didn't
doing.
sound like it.
She didn't sound like it.
She said she went because of the shopping, the stress shopping is what she was doing, but she hadn't overcome it. So we're telling you all this. It's all in the mind frame. The older gal that he talked to in the first place, when I first heard what she said, I thought she's got it together. See, what people don't realize, what happens is we get a lot of people on here say, well, what are you doing for retirement? Are you saving for retirement? Are you doing? And I know immediately, not everybody, but a lot of times, probably 75% of the time when they're asking that, I immediately think that's telling me they aren't taking care of their money now the way they should. Because everybody that we have, so many viewers pop in here and say, you know, I'm debt free. I have no mortgage. We've been this way for years. And you can tell in their comments, there is no stress. They're excited. They're happy. They're content, you know, in much more so than somebody that has the stress from the money. And I can tell they're not worried about retirement. Why? Because if you have your money under control now, you don't need to worry about retirement because you know how to control your money. Whether you have a whole lot of money or a little tiny bit of money, you've got down. It's a lifestyle is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter what the amount of money you get. It's your attitude towards the money, how you're going to spend the money. It's a whole complete lifestyle. So
Misty says, I was thinking the same on $300. I'm one of those organic gluten-free buyers too. I know.
I know.
See,
I know.
and you're a testimony that even if you choose to eat that way, you can do it if you want.
Yeah. See, that's where the mindset comes in. I don't think that gal for the $300 was ready for it.
Yeah, but right here we go. Not there yet. No mortgage, but still real estate taxes and insurance to consider if living in a house. No kidding. But so what?
Yeah, that's what I mean. We don't worry. Those of us that have our money totally under control, know what we're doing with it, have no debt, nothing. We don't even make comments like that most of the time.
Yeah.
You know, because we know what we're going to do for the insurance. We know what we're going to do for the taxes and everything. And that logic never has made sense to me. It's like, okay, I'm paying $3,000 house payment. So I should keep paying that $300,000 house payment because if I get rid of it, I'm still going to have to pay
$500, say,
for taxes and insurance or something. Does that even make sense? Why should it's the same way people used to keep their house mortgage and wouldn't pay their mortgage off because I could get a tax reduction at the with taxes each year. It's like, have you not thought that you're paying more on the interest and that tax return that you're getting? It's that same type of logic. It doesn't work. It's an excuse you've heard other people say or a reason you've come up with not to do your money. And that's not controlling your money in the right way.
Yep. All right, guys, these videos are brought to you by our Dining on a Dime Cookbooks, Volume 1, Volume 2 for our Saving of the Green St. Patrick's Day sale and our gluten-free, dairy-free edition. And our planner is 10% off. It's an undated planner, 400 pages. You can start now and not lose any pages. So you can just start right now. That's why we did it undated. 35% off, guys. 35% off right now and 50% off our ebooks. If you want to eat better and spend less, as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to email that guy and ask for that lady's mailing address and tell her I will send her a book. And he did say, I'll go grocery shopping with you and show you it can be done for $300. He did say
She was going almost totally out to eat. And
almost every meal.
Yeah. And she was spending between $30 to $40 for every meal. And should I mention the other thing she was doing with her money?
Sure.
This is one thing we don't think about because it's so little and we do it automatic and it keeps adding up. She was paying, what was it, 2/3 of her 2/3 of her monthly income. I want you to think about that. 2/3 of her monthly income was going through to eating out and buying games on her phone to play.
And then now here, get this math. Guys.
Get this.
So 2/3 of her income was on games and eating out, and 2/3 of her income was going to her just basic minimum payment bills and rent and utilities, just the bare minimum. So 2/3 of her income was going to her bare minimum, and then 2/3 of her income was going for games and eating out. Does anyone?
Well, then 1/3 was going for what? The utility.
See an issue with this?
And she was spending 5/3 of her income. She was spending every month.
She was just going into debt every single month.
So you think about that. She's spending 1/3 more of her income each month.
Now, as Mom and I were talking about this guy, and this is why I don't like Dave Ramsey. I mean, he's fine. I know he's helped millions of people and all this stuff. That's fine. The problem is people like this lady, this is how we're connecting the two so you can see. People like this $300 grocery bill lady and then the 76-year-old lady. The 76-year-old lady learned how to make do with what she had. Mm-hmm. Learned how to live below her means by shopping the right way for groceries, shopping the right way for clothes, being able to make do without things, being able to get by. This other $300
she didn't
lady,
use credit cards probably. She kept her debt totally paid off.
Yeah.
That's how she kept saving all this money.
Now, this other lady, where these financial gurus absolutely fail these people, makes me so mad. I understand their eyes have to be opened. I get that. That's the first step. If they don't even understand they have a problem, it's not going to help them at all. I get that. But what happens is these people are left dangling then, and they don't know how to go grocery shopping. They cannot fathom going to the grocery store and not buying all of the pre-cut vegetables, pre-cut fruits, all of the deli meat, the rotisserie chickens, all the prepackaged chips and sodas, and they can't even fathom using a cake mix to make a cake or getting drumsticks and actually putting them in the oven. They can't fathom going to the thrift store.
Eating less, using your leftovers, all these basic tips that we give you guys all the time. People get frustrated because they want to live on within their means and they don't want to be this way, but that's not really teaching them day to day how you need to start washing your laundry. Once it piles up and fills the whole room up, you need to start washing your laundry. Well, the person says fine, but they have no clue how they're supposed to do that. And that's what happens with a lot of financial people. They just say, you've got to cut back on that, but they don't tell you how to cut back.
And that's where we're trying to come in and help. And that's why we're actually changing some of our videos a little bit to show you guys how to do these things. I mean, get our Dining on a Dime cookbooks right here, 35% off, guys. It's on sale right now. We have all the tips and tricks on how to do it. I guarantee you, every person that buys our cookbook, they're like, I saved $250 the first time I went to the grocery store. We get testimonial after testimonial every single time.
And,
every single week.
Tell us, did the book help you at all? I'm sure we do get that without me even asking,
and some of the new videos that we're working on in the future are actually showing us going to the thrift store and going to the grocery store, because here's the thing. Neither Mom nor I have a budget. We don't use a budget.
And
a budget means nothing to us.
The gal with $300 that they was doing the $300, she had spreadsheet after spreadsheet, all this budget stuff.
She had this ridiculous budget. Yet she didn't
paperwork.
know
But
how much she was spending on anything.
She had no idea, even with all the budget and the paperwork.
And so the point of that is to say, a budget is not going to get you out of debt.
No.
I don't care what anybody says. It is not the budget. Now, I understand some people like having things written down so that you know, yeah, I got my house payment paid. Yes, I got my,
That's
whatever
kind of a
paid.
different type thing in a way.
That's fine. But what it has to do is when I go to the grocery store, I don't just shop for what I feel like buying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm refilling my pantry and I'm only shopping for the things that are on sale or that I actually need at the moment at the grocery store. Believe it or not, when I go to the thrift stores now, I've been doing way more thrift store shopping the last 2-3 months with this kitchen remodel because I'm looking for specific things for my kitchen. But I was telling Mom, the last 3 to 4 years, 2 to 4 years, I don't know, somewhere around there, when we were in Colorado, I really didn't go to the thrift store.
Yeah,
I really didn't shop that much. Why? Because my house was all done. We'd been in there for 5 years. It was the way I liked it. We were planning on moving. The only time I really went shopping was when Mom was in town or if the boys needed some specific clothes.
Mm-hmm.
I really wasn't shopping. I'm not saying I didn't get anything for the house, but I didn't really need anything. So if I would go, I would and find something that I could use, then I would get it, but I never went shopping because I was upset or I was depressed or I just had to get out of the house. It's all a budget is not going to stop you from doing those things if you haven't made up your mind that you're not going to do it. I don't just go buy steak because I feel like eating steak this week.
Mm-hmm.
I buy chicken because it's what's cheap and it's on sale. And while we're paying off our debt, that's what we're eating. And so a budget isn't going to change your mindset on those things.
Because you could tell the things she was spending her money on, that made her happy and comfortable. And that's what she wanted. She wanted those things. And you've got to learn how to, a lot of women do stress shopping. I watched a gal on a YouTube video once, and she said she did sewing, she did cross stitching, that type of thing. And her and her husband were caught in a snowstorm. Well, they weren't in the snowstorm. They were driving over the mountain and it was snowing and it was blizzarding. And she said, I did stress shopping on her phone. This is what's really gotten people into trouble are these phones. You can carry your shopping with you now.
I have never, ever, ever bought anything on my phone.
How to do it.
I have never bought anything on my phone.
And
ever.
You need to learn not to do the stress shopping. If you get upset, you find something else that you enjoy doing to replace that doesn't cost money. Do you like to sew? Do you like to take walks? Do you, anything, find something that you enjoy and replace it. And then the minute you start feeling like I want to go shopping, I need to get out of the house and go shopping, you stop and think, no, I'm going to do this instead. There's practical ways. Just don't say, well, I just stress shop, so that makes it okay. It's like, I just stress shop so I can do that. That's my therapy so that I'm allowed. But I know more women that sneak packages home and not let their husbands see what they've bought, and worry about this.
I have never hidden, except for Christmas presents, I have never hidden any purchase.
Oh, no, I can't even imagine hiding stuff like that.
Kimmy, hello, friend. Kimmy from She's in Her Apron. It's a joke between us, guys. I'm not making fun of Kimmy. All of you guys. She said, you have never ordered off Amazon on your phone? Oh, wow. I have never, ever. I've never ordered anything on my phone.
Yeah.
Ever.
No. And to be honest, I've only ordered 3 things on Walmart because since I moved here to Sheraton because I couldn't get it anyplace, but otherwise I don't order online. And think about it. If you are spending more by using your phone, don't do it.
Remove the apps.
Yeah.
Take
Get
the
rid of the apps
off your
I don't even have
phone.
the apps on my phone. When I ordered from Walmart, it was online, but get rid of the apps and stuff. There's way to control this. Just say, well, I just have to stress shop. No, you don't have to stress shop. You're choosing to do that. And that's why we say until you choose to get your finances straightened out and stop this cycle, we can't help you a whole lot. We can't come to your house and sit there and hold your hand. You're going to have to make some decisions yourself. You're going to have to really decide.
I thought about offering. I think that lady was the $300 grocery lady. She lives in Austin, and I thought about offering to go down there. Mike's from Austin, so for you who yes, feel sorry for him. But he's from Austin, and we actually lived there for 6 months after we were married. So I know Austin and everything. I know the grocery stores. Believe me, HEB's got some good deals. And I thought about telling him, hey, let's do a collab and I'll go shopping with her and show her how to cook so that she can eat at home and not be stressed cooking while she's eating at home. Because he told her, he said, you're going to have to work 80 hours a week. He said, I'm sorry, there is no way around this. You are going to have to work 80 hours a week. So now what's going to happen is she's going to get even more tired,
more stressed,
and then she's going to want to eat out more because she doesn't know how to cook simple meals other than ramen.
And I know sometimes you have no choice. You have to make more money in some situations. But that's almost the first choice they always go to is you've got to make more money. But he didn't say a whole lot about her cutting back. He did somewhat.
He told her to cut out
going out to eat
and cutting out all her games and shopping and everything. He did tell her to do that.
But I mean, he didn't tell her a whole lot on cutting back on her utilities.
No,
or anything.
That's where they
they do. The obvious things, like everybody knows if you're going to go shopping all the time or order games, but you have to make it a blanket, lifestyle where you cut back on everything. And they don't know you can do without this stuff. You can do without a car. He didn't say it would be better if she lived close to work. The weight was causing her stress. It was like she was in a cycle. And we're not mad at these people. We actually feel sorry and wish we could help them. And that's why we do this, because she was in a cycle. She was way overweight.
She was overwhelmed.
Which stressed her out. She was overwhelmed with the money, which stressed her out even more.
Having health problems because of it all.
But some of the things she could change by just walking to work. Instead, she'd get the exercise to help with the weight. By cutting back on her grocery bill, she would get the extra money to add to the bills. All those
Cutting
things.
back her utilities. She's in Texas. Her utilities should be almost zero. Really, I'll give her July and August for AC. But pretty much her utilities should be. I mean, I know you have to pay for trash and electric and heat and all that. Gas, electric, and trash. I understand you have to pay for that, but really, her utilities could probably be $150 or less, probably $100 a month. If she really cut back on stuff.
When you're overweight, sometimes you tend to get hotter, easier.
So you turn on the AC more.
So you turn the AC on more. You see how all this is connected together. And you have to take a step out of that cage you're going in. And you have to take a step out and start doing some of this stuff. Most of it is mental. You have really got to just think, I can't do this anymore. And that's why everybody that's in their 30s, 40s, or 50s thinks, well, how do you live off of $750? Or what are you going to do for retirement? Because they're living this type of life and they can't imagine that you can be happy and content on much less.
But even if you're not happy and content, sometimes you have to suck it up and do it anyway.
I know.
You got Mom's happy and content here, and you got Tara's suck it up, Buttercup. I mean, I'm sorry.
It's just why do you think everybody has this attitude that I'm worth it, I deserve it, I should have everything comfortable. I am worth it. I do deserve it. And I would love to have everything comfortable. But that doesn't mean I can afford any of those things. And if you can't afford them, then you've got to work somehow to get yourself to the point where you can. So, do we have questions?
No, but we have some comments that unfortunately I'm going to have to address.
Oh, dear.
Okay.
Just so you'll know, when I lived in El Paso, Texas, I didn't have an air conditioner the year I lived there.
So let me just say, I have lived in Texas. And it was.
Yeah. I've lived twice in there, and we had no AC.
I have lived in Kansas, which is just as bad as Texas, if not worse, actually. Even Mike said the humidity was worse in Kansas than it was in Texas, okay? But let me tell you, we got several comments here, but it's hot from, last year we had 100 plus degrees from May to October. Hot, hot, and hotter. The other one was, sorry, where did it go? Well, anyway, something to the effect of, well, it's hot all summer long in Austin, Texas. Listen, I have lived during the hell on earth months in Texas. Okay, I get it. But April, high average, 80 degrees. May, this is Austin, Texas. May, 86 degrees. June, 92 degrees. July, 96 degrees. August, 96 degrees. September, 90 degrees. I will give you July, August, and September, maybe June. But I'll give you June and I'll give you July and August and maybe June. But from January to May and September on, you will not die if you don't run your AC in Texas. I guarantee it. And I know we're going to get those 0.05% people that say, well, I have X medical condition and I have Y medical condition. Listen, we totally understand that. There are some people with severe medical problems that do have to have certain AC. Their body doesn't regulate heat correctly or whatever. That's fine. I guarantee you that is not 99.9% of the people.
Yeah.
It is not. But I know every time we say this, probably 10% at least, if not 20% of the comments are people whining about how they have to have their air conditioning in Texas. If it is that bad, then you need to move to Minnesota.
I lived in Wichita Falls, Texas, too, besides El Paso, and we lived there from the end of May through September, and we had no air conditioner in an upstairs apartment that we lived in. And we didn't have air conditioner. We had a fan. We had to use a fan all the time. I've lived in Kansas without AC during the summer. And, even right before I moved here, it would be like 110. The heat index would be 110, 115. And I wouldn't turn the AC on until like 4 in the afternoon, even when it was up to 110 and 115. And even if it is that hot and you have to have think you need to have it, what happens is I see people leave in the morning for work. They've got that AC set, even on a timer, but a lot of them don't put it on a timer. They leave that AC on all day long while they're gone to work, and so they can come home to
for the dog.
Yeah, or for the dog or something like that. And that it's crazy. So you don't even try to keep it down, or they have it up so low in the summer. They have the temperature down so low.
They have it at 65 in the summer, but 78 in the winter.
Yeah, go figure.
Seriously?
They have it down so low. So even if you feel like you absolutely have that, is there something? See, instead of saying the reason, we come up with excuses why I have to have it. I live in Texas. No, think, okay, I live in Texas and we need the AC, but how can I keep my bill down? That's the way you need to start thinking. That's how you think to get out of debt. You don't immediately come up with the reasons why you can't do it. you think of how can I fix this and change this or do something different.
And I'm sorry, I don't care what the yahoos in the White House say. There is no such thing as global warming. There is no such thing as climate change. The 1930s were literally hell on earth for people as far as temperatures went.
Yeah, it was bad.
If you go back and look at history, now I'm sure we've had temperatures that were higher and have beat those records back then, but it was awful. My great-grandparents lived through the Dust Bowl in southeastern Colorado with no AC. Now I'll give you, Colorado at least isn't as near as humid as Texas, but it was bad. And so, you know, we are trying to help you. We really are. We're trying to help you. But we cannot help you if you're just going to keep running yourself around in circles with excuses. You have got to make up your mind. The budget is not going to save me. Getting financial advice from someone is not going to save me. It's figuring out how I'm going to get out of this hole and what are the steps that I'm going to do to get myself out of this hole and where am I going to start? I don't care where you start. Just start. I don't care if it's cutting out, eating out. And number one should be tearing up all the credit cards and never using them at all, ever. I don't care what emergency happens. And like this $300 grocery lady, she said, well, I think I'm going to need a new car. He said, well, is it not working? Well, it needs a new windshield. He's like, a new windshield is not a reason to get a new car. You can go with a cracked windshield. And people can't fathom, even if her car completely poops out on her, she could go get a $1,500 clunker and get by until she can get the bus. She could take the bus. She could take an Uber. She could carpool. She could borrow a car from a friend or family. But maybe somebody at work could help or take her to and from.
But see, once again, there's the excuses not to have to do that. Her windshield is cracked on the car, so she, But I think credit cards, I think what has happened, we have a couple of generations that grew up with credit cards. And I could tell from the way she was talking, you just charge it. Nobody thinks this is the way I barter and get my stuff. I just charge it. But what happens is they're of the mindset, I charge it. And they don't realize, why they don't realize, I don't know, that you have to pay that back. For some reason, credit cards are a magic something that you just, seriously, the kids, when they were little, they were like 7 or 8, and I said, we don't have the money to do this. They said, well, Mom, just write a check. And I'd say, I don't have the money in the bank. You have to have the money in the bank before you can write a check. Well, that's kind of what everybody's mindset now is. I'll just use a credit card. It doesn't matter that I can't pay it.
Well, and like Kimmy from She's in Her Apron.
I see Shannon.
Hello,
Shannon, you make my day when I see your smiley faces. I look for it every time when I see your smiley faces.
Wanda said she missed you too. Kimmy says, focus on that debt. It can be done. We just paid off a huge amount. And I know how much Kimmy paid off. And let me tell you, it was huge. She is way under, what's the word I'm looking for? She's way underselling. I don't know the word I'm thinking of, but she's way underselling how much they paid off. It was a huge amount. And she said, if you want it bad enough, you will make it happen. And here's where I don't have respect for Dave Ramsey. Sorry, guys, all you fans. But when he had all of his debt and everything, he claimed bankruptcy. I'm sorry. That's the chicken way out. And you are stealing when you are doing that. That is flat out theft. The only time I will say for bankruptcy that I think it's okay is medical debt, because I don't think it's right, even though I do not believe in socialized health care. I also do not think it's right that hospitals should be charging the ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous amounts for medical now. to the point where it's not even possible for people to pay them off if they just go to the emergency room for something. And so,
well, that's what bankruptcy
that
first
kind of
was
thing,
originally founded for. But then it morphed into anybody can declare bankruptcy. And then it got to where you didn't want to declare bankruptcy, because what they would used to do, you would be standing on the street with maybe one suitcase in your hand, and they took everything. But then it morphed into, well, you can keep your house, you can keep your car, one car, and there's certain things you can keep. So people now just do it.
Yeah.
Off the
now,
cuff.
Lindsay does say that Dave paid his bankruptcy back. If that's the case, I have not heard that version of the story. Then, okay, if he paid all that money back, then okay, I'm good with that. And I will be more than happy to say sorry about that. I've never heard that story from him that it was actually paid back. And if that's true, then I'm good with that. But even with that, how much of that just got wiped away that he should have just been paid? Bankruptcy isn't, you don't pay the full amount that you owe these people.
Well, and what people don't realize, do you know who's paying for every time somebody declares bankruptcy? You know who's paying for that?
Everybody else is.
We are. What these companies do, they're in business. So they're going to get that money back somehow. So what they do is they just raise the prices. All these egg prices and chicken prices and all those prices are going up. Every time somebody declares bankruptcy, they have to get that money from someplace. These big companies do. And so you think, well, I'm just going to, your neighbor says, I'm going to just declare bankruptcy. I'm sorry, I don't want to pay. You have all this stuff, this new cars, you have all the fancy hobby equipment, you go do all this fun stuff, and you go declare bankruptcy. You have all this nice stuff, and I'm having to pay for it. I don't appreciate it. That's kind of why Tara and I do not.
No patience.
Yeah, don't like that, because you're taking from me is what you're doing. You're stealing from me and other people is what's happening with bank, unless it's medical, like Tara says. There's probably 5% or less of the people now that declare bankruptcy have a legitimate reason to do it. But the rest of the people, they just take the easy way out.
Now, SL says, God forgave debts every 7 years and required. Go ahead and send me comments. If you guys have comments or questions, please post them. Mike's going to send them to me. SL says, God forgave debts every 7 years and required people to in the Old Testament. Okay, but that was different.
Yeah.
The debts back then, people were going into debt to actually eat.
Yeah.
They weren't going into debt to pay for the snowmobile, to pay for the vacation home, to pay for eating out every night, every other night, to pay for their Starbucks, to pay for their Coach purses,
their
to
games
pay for their
on
games on their phone, to pay for the new iPhone, whatever number we're up to now. That is totally different. It was totally different. Back then, that was a debt of survival.
Yeah.
Not a debt of
and we do quote the Bible, but you've got to know the whole Bible. The Bible also says that you should owe no man money. That makes you a slave. And so know your Bible well enough to know that God does not like you to be in debt, because he says you should owe no man any money, but it was like Tara said, in order to eat and survive, that's the type of debt. Or if somebody, if I owed Tara, my neighbor, something, let's say, I owed them money for something, they say, you got to come work for me to work that money off or whatever. I became their slave, basically.
And they worked for that.
And they did.
For those 7 years.
But what they would do, it was kind of like an indentured servant type thing. Mm-hmm. And so that's what that was all about. So you got to really make sure understand, on the Bible what that stuff says. But, there's just nothing honorable. People that declare bankruptcy now too have started. It's like, I know people that went and they declared bankruptcy, and as soon as they were clear, it was like a week afterwards, they went out and bought 2 new cars.
Or before they'd claim it, they go buy all this stuff. Yeah. I know somebody very personally who did that.
Yeah, they bought 2 cars for $50,000 each on these cars. They went and got brand new carpet. They totally remodeled a good chunk of their house once they got out of bankruptcy, because they knew they would just declare it again, So,
As you can tell, Mom and I have zero patience with this because we have lived through true poverty and still paid off our debts.
But too, it's about honor, integrity, being responsible, doing the right thing. If you're a Christian, you should not be doing things like this, really, because it's like the banker. When I really was desperate, I was going to lose the house in just a couple of weeks at one point, and I was desperate, and I went to him, to get a $5,000 loan is what I needed, and because I paid off all my other stuff, he trusted me. He knew I was responsible. I had enough integrity, and he knew that he gave me a signature loan, and he respected me for that. People can tell whether you're honorable or not. We've lost all honor in our lives. We have no respect for
no self-respect at all.
No, for businesses, for what we're doing to other people with our debt, even with your family. Do you know how many moms and dads are stressed to the eyeballs with debt, working long hours? Both of them have to be gone, leaving the kids for long hours, trying to take care of this debt. You are hurting a lot of people. And this is why Tar and I get upset over it, because we've seen so many people. I've dealt with couples, their marriage, they were ready to go the next week to divorce lawyers with children, and they were going to get a divorce. Why? Because they'd overspent. And they're doing everything you guys are talking about. Well, we need to have our AC. We need to do this. We need to do that. And these other things. And I don't mean to harp on the AC, but you've got to start thinking different, because we're trying to keep you from destroying your family and your life, really.
We're trying to help you. We are.
How many people aren't they?
Actually, it's one of our best shows
ever.
Everybody all right,
leave?
We're getting to your questions, but as we're telling you not to buy,
you're sorry. But
you will actually save money.
I have no guilt about selling these books, because they have saved more people's lives, and so I don't feel I would never sell anything. That goes with the honor and the integrity and the trust. I would never.
This actually helps you learn how to cook and save money in your grocery bill. So instead of going out to eat for one meal, people will spend 2 times the amount of the cost of our cookbook on one meal to take their family out to eat. And yet then they whine to us that they can't afford to buy our cookbook. No, you don't want to learn how to cook and make your life better. When I was living on $300 a month, I specifically bought one book to teach me some things on gardening and how to do that. And guess what? I was able to take that $12 book and sell my garden produce to make money because I had a purpose, but I didn't have any money, and I had learned everything that I could, and I was trying more, and I was like, okay, I can't get this information. This was before the internet. Now with the internet, I mean, guys, if you can't afford our cookbooks, that's okay. Our website has only over 1,500.
You can use our website.
We have over 1,500 pages of recipes and tips on how to save money and get out of debt at livingonadime.com. Just go and start reading. I offer free ebooks all the time.
Oh my goodness.
Watch our videos.
Our ebooks are $1. We have one ebook I noticed the other night. I keep forgetting about them. For $1, it had, I think, 105 menu plans. 105 menu plans you can get for $1. And most of the recipes are on our website, or that you can use. And
Simple Guy, Simple Life says the cookbooks are worth the investment, better than Better Homes and Garden and Betty Crocker.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Mike, you need to pull that one.
Yeah. Well, I had a comment from a gal today. Some of you are afraid to start cooking. You think it's going to be so much work, such a heavy burden. And if you're trying to do like Julia Childs, yeah, it's going to be. But all of our recipes are so easy and
fast.
So I got a comment today from a gal. It was on one of the chicken recipes. I think it was the garlic, was it honey garlic chicken or something recipe we had? She said, I was amazed. It was so simple and so easy. And she said, we loved it. Her family loved it. And so we try to make it easy if you're starting to learn.
But, okay, I'm getting to your comments in just a second. But Nancy says, but the cleanup. Okay, if you have issues
Oh.
with cleaning up after you're cooking wrong.
Yeah. I went the other day. I should show people
You
what I
shouldn't
do.
have a big mess after you're done cooking.
I made chicken, what are they? Green chili and chicken enchiladas. And I timed myself. I made a pan of those. And it took me 5 minutes to cook them
Most of my
put
recipes
them all
are
together
5-minute prep. Yeah.
and then get them in. And then afterwards, it took me not even 2 minutes to scrub out the pan and wash my plate. Now, if you have a family of 4, it's going to take you 8 to 10 minutes to scrub up the pan and clean the plates. 10 minutes, you wait longer in line for your food at whether you go to a restaurant or fast food. I can guarantee you, you will probably wait longer in line
than you will just getting in the kitchen and getting it done.
Cleaning the stuff up in the kitchen.
Listen.
And make your family help. This is
Mike and I split the dishes. It doesn't take that much.
I hear so many moms, well, I was in the kitchen cleaning up the kitchen and the kids were upstairs doing something else. Oh my goodness. No wonder you guys are having problems.
The boys load and unload the dishwasher. If I'm baking
everybody
something,
clears the table. Everybody pitches in and clears the table. They, part of them wash the dishes, some dry the dishes, or whatever you need to do. While even cooking dinner, I didn't ever like the kids, everybody cooking with me because it just the setup of my kitchen. But somebody could set the table for me, and somebody could mash the potatoes while I was making the gravy for me. You got to start getting in a method, figuring out, okay, what am I doing here wrong with prep? Okay, you hate cleaning up the dirty pans. It's cheaper to buy a roll of foil and put foil in those pans and put a casserole in. Then you just pull the foil out and throw it out, and the pan's easier to clean.
Oh, Daniel says, I wanted to say thank you for your advice and tips. I went out to Walmart today and got a week's worth of dinners for $65.
Way to go.
So, sounds like he's already saving money.
We got a lot of guys coming on here. I like seeing the guy.
Actually, that's pretty high, dude. I need to come down there and help you. But that's still, you're probably doing better.
You're doing better. And that's the way with cleanup. Use paper plates. When you go straight from eating out all the time to cooking at home, that is hard. That's why we tell you to take baby steps and do small things. Use paper plates for the first 2 to 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
The upcoming videos, guys, we're going to be demonstrating how we do this. That's what I was talking with my editor, and he's going to be my videographer now, yesterday, about showing the steps on how to do these, because it's so easy. We would rather have you eat paper plates, or excuse me, well, sure, eat paper plates if you want. It's probably cheaper.
Food.
We would rather have you eat on paper plates and use paper plates and throw them away and spend that 5 cents, literally 5 cents, maybe 10 cents now. I don't know with inflation, but 5 or 10 cents on a paper plate. If dishes are stressing you out that much, then going out to eat.
And start out, I can sit here and think, how hard is it to throw hot dogs in the microwave, throw some chips on your plate, add some carrot sticks, some baby carrots, and slice up a tomato.
Yeah.
You've got a meal. How hard? Now, how much cleanup would that take for something like that? You're making it, thinking it's going to be way too hard. Well, we can't just eat hot dogs all the time. No, you can't. But you can start out slow and do simple things like that. You can buy frozen French fries. Yeah, I made French fries from scratch all my life. I didn't even know to buy frozen French fries. But you can buy the frozen French fries, have some hamburger patties, to fry up hamburger patties.
And then have some baby carrots and some sliced up cucumbers
some broccoli,
or something.
Fresh broccoli or something like that. You've got a meal. You don't have to spend all day slaving away with 25. I saw a gal, she was mixing up something. And we need to teach them how to do this, where you don't need to take every dish out of your cabinet to mix up a cake mix.
That drives me nuts.
I know.
I use one bowl and one measuring cup.
Exactly. And that's it to mix up anything that I bake.
I don't even wash my measuring spoons.
No, I don't. I keep measuring spoons in my flour and sugar, and I just reuse them, and that's how you do this. And you don't have any cleanup for anything. So,
All right, so now we're going to get to your questions.
Oh, no, we haven't got.
Our Dining on a Dime cookbook, guys, 35% off right now for all of our print books, 50% off our ebooks. Go check them out, guys, right now. That is the sponsor of our show today. Oh, and our planners are 10% off, 400 pages to get you organized, 365 days, 400 pages undated, so you can start anytime and not lose any dates. I'm going to be showing my planner and how I use it in the new kitchen.
Is Jim on there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you doing better, Jim?
Yesterday he said he was doing really good.
Okay, I was wondering if you're doing better because I was worried about you when you said you're okay, good. I do read you guys' comments all the time.
We told her she can't talk anymore.
Yeah, they told me I can't talk. So,
well,
but
she
I do
kept
read
giving away everything I was saying.
So
I'm like, Mother,
that's why you don't hear from me. So I was taking all the stuff she wanted to say to you guys.
Okay, Stephanie says, I live on $690 Social Security and I'm fine. Yep. And Mom lived on $750 just fine. She still basically lives on $750. You get what, $1,800 now or something like that. But she saves a significant chunk of that every month.
I can't get it spent. But even before the $750, I've only been on $750 for 10 years. And my utilities have stayed the same for almost 20 years. But I was $500 before that, you know. So the $750, I thought I was living.
So somebody said, can she still do that now? Yes, she is still doing that now. She's just saving the rest.
Yeah, I looked up. I thought, what am I spending? And I am living on that now. And it's just sitting there accumulating in the bank. And I don't know what to do with it. I mean, I do. I probably could figure something out, but it's just sitting there. It's just a way of life, and you just don't spend. And so that's why I say it doesn't matter how much more I would get or make. Who is it? Is it Warren? What is that?
Warren Buffett?
Yeah. Doesn't he have a small, I think, like a 1980s house, this multi-billionaire or something? You know, he just lives in this because he knows what to do with his money.
Yeah. $300 is a lot for groceries. Yes. Simple Guy says $300 is 3 months for us. Yeah, us too. Everybody's loving our sweaters and your shawl. Thank you guys. And don't retire if you have debt. Sandy says yes, that is very true. Jennifer says I'm completely debt free. Pay cash for everything. Learn inspiration. She's 56. Thank you. You're welcome.
Very good. Perfect.
I'm glad we could help.
Yes.
I have no idea what this name is, but I plan for real estate taxes and insurance. It's not bad if you have a plan. Exactly.
I know.
You just, are you not going to pay your utilities? Are you not going to buy groceries? I mean, taxes and insurance, everybody acts like paying off your house and then, oh, well, you still have taxes and insurance. Well, I would say a very good phrase that rhymes with no, Sherlock. Hello. Of course, you're going to have to pay your taxes and insurance.
But
you're paying them anyway.
Yeah, and if you pay off your house, you're not paying
$1,500 a month
extra.
Your principal.
And if you have your debt paid, people don't understand. If you get your house paid off before you go into retirement, what's going to happen is, so let's say Tar and Mike have everything paid off now. They're 50. Mike's 55.
No, he's not.
Well, I mean, he's heading to 55.
No, he's not.
Well, he's 53.
He's only 53.
And he's going to be 54
this year. He's on the low end of 50 still.
He acts like he's 50. No, not really. But what happens, you're missing the point. What's happening is when they got their house paid off, you had what? $1,500, $2,000 in Colorado, extra dollars a month? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had $2,000. So think about this. You say, well, that's not, stop worrying about the taxes and the insurance. If you get your house paid off, you're going to have $2,000 maybe extra every month. Another $500 to $1,000 for credit card debt paid off. You're going to have like $2,500 to $3,000 extra a month that you can chunk into savings, that you can save for when you hit retirement then if you want to. People don't understand that. Instead, they're sitting worrying about the insurance and the taxes on their house. When you should be thinking, if I get my house paid off, I'm going to have this big chunk of money coming in that I can save, or put towards something else, that's really important.
Oh, Kelly's on. Say hi,
Oh,
Kelly.
hi, Kelly.
And Ruth paid off her house today. You go, girl.
Oh,
That is
you
great.
need to celebrate.
My only problem when we paid off our house the first time, my only problem was we had worked and worked and worked, and it was paid off, and we were like, okay.
Now what
So it didn't. I felt nothing. I didn't feel any different. I didn't feel, woohoo, it's all paid off. I mean, we kind of thought that and we acted that way, but we kind of thought that and acted that way, but I didn't feel that. I didn't feel any different. But that's why.
Yeah, but see, you had your money under control. It wasn't that big.
Yeah,
of
I was going to say that's why your money shouldn't be based on your emotions.
She wasn't stressed under the money because she knew they had it under control and were taking care.
Did you make your Shaw?
No, I didn't.
These are all thrift store finds. $1, thank you. $1. Let's see. JC says my husband and I paid off our house 8 years early because we made bigger payments. Very good. We're getting the rest of it paid off. Good.
Comment in there, guys. Doesn't that make you feel good? I mean, I know Tara said she didn't react, but there is a level of stress that's taken away when that happens.
Yep. Montana Girl says, not just learn how to live small, but content with living small. We are spoiled society. Yeah, I was talking to my editor I have two editors. I was talking to the one in the Philippines this morning. And he said, oh, I've learned so much from you guys. I'm like, what in the world could you be possibly learning from us?
They live off of so little.
And I was like, okay. So, well, I was thinking we could learn a lot from you. And he's like, well, like what? And I said, well, so when you're just a really super poor country like that, how do you buy clothes and shoes? And you know what he said? He said, we do hand-me-downs, but not like we do hand-me-downs. They do generational, like 20, 30, 40 years worth of hand-me-downs for shoes. And he called them slippers. I don't know what they mean by slippers, or maybe it might've been a mistake on his typing thing. But like the grandparents hand it down to the parents and the parents hand it down to the kids and the kids hand it out to each other and the aunts and uncles, it sounds like, all hand it around. He said, but here's what he said. And I want this to really sink in. He said, we do that so we can buy food. Sorry. It makes me so angry when Americans complain about their debt and how they can't pay for this stuff. And there are people who are handing down clothes for generations so they can go buy a pound of rice to survive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. You have got to get a grip and get your priorities in order and get your spending under control. The poorest, most homeless person in America is still 1,000 times richer than these people. 1,000 times. And yet we're sitting here whining and complaining about how we can't do a load of dishes to cook our food. Seriously? Sorry. It is just unbelievable how absolutely selfish and spoiled Americans are. It's absolutely unbelievable. It really is. As a matter of fact, I was at the point where I know we're shooting these thrift store videos. I'm having my American editor edit those ones. But do you know one of the reasons why? Because I feel awful sending that to my Filipino editor who literally was thanking me for this job so he could have the $200 to have his wisdom tooth taken out that was hurting him. I'm sorry. People get upset because I have no patience with this. But you have got to wake up and realize you are just being a selfish twit. And it's time to grow up, act like an adult, and pay your bills. Period.
That's part of why I think Tara and I do this. I lived in Japan when I was younger, and it really had an impact on me. I've told you guys a story many times how my dad's squadron took over one of the orphanages there in Japan, and it was a boys' orphanage, and all what they got was a bowl of rice, like twice a day or something like that. That's all they got to eat. And when the squadron took over, they were able to have fish on Sunday. And they were really excited because they got to have that fish because the Americans were helping them with that. And I remember my brother got a new bike for Christmas, and we took his old bike, and my dad fixed it up. He painted it. He made it look just brand new almost. And we took it to that boys' orphanage, and we saw the boys. They stood, there was about 70 of them. And they stood in a long line very patiently, and they would take turns. One would get on and they'd bike around the orphanage building, and then the next one would get a turn so they could all share that bike. And it's so hard for me. Like the other morning I got up and my floor in the kitchen was cold, and I thought, oh, this floor is so cold. I wish I could do something. And I started to say, do something about it being so cold. And I stopped myself because I saw so many people living in homes over there that had nothing but dirt on their floor. And they had rocks built up for their small little shack of a house with big holes with it snowing in there. And it's hard for me to gripe about the floor being cold or my house being cold because I have memories of this. And I wish everybody could go to the third world countries and not go to Mexico to the fancy resorts, but actually go and see the things that these people don't have. It would change people's lives over here so much. And that Tara's right. This is why it's so hard for us to be patient for this gal to be upset because she's so in debt from paying 2/3 of her income
Games and eating
food and eating out. And all of us have something like that we've got. And that's why I'm so tickled to hear all of you saying, I paid my debt, because you're finally realizing that the money's not controlling your life anymore. You're controlling your money. Instead of just, well, I just have to do that. When you think of these things, the world and the money's controlling your life. They've told you you can't survive with this. I know lots of people that survive on way less. So.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
Are they all gone?
Oh, no, it's one of our biggest shows ever.
With other questions or?
Yes, I'm collecting myself.
You're collecting yourself? But it is heartbreaking, guys. It is heartbreaking to.
All right, let's see. Sorry. Mike, send me the next batch. Leslie says, we are in financial stress and I'm trying to do a whole lot of trimming, but I need to get my husband on board. He acts like money is going to fall from the sky. I know. I mean, I don't know what to tell you until he can get it together and realize.
You're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place until he kind of wakes up and sees. When I was trained to do the counseling, I've mentioned this before, but we got to have some new ones on here maybe. And this goes along too with you have to decide you want to, and I'm not talking about her necessarily, but when I was tested on whether I knew my stuff for the family counseling and things, the first question I was asked was, okay, if you have a couple come in and say the wife insisted the husband had to come in for counseling, and he didn't want to do it, but he did just to get her quiet down. And they came in for counseling. What would you do? And my answer was, I would just send them back home. I wouldn't even counsel them. Why? Because until he was ready, there's just nothing you can do. Until you're ready, some of you on here, until you're actually ready and it gets bad enough and you really want to do something about your money, there's not a whole lot we can do for you. These people that are saying, I got my house paid off, I got my credit cards paid off, they had a moment, an aha moment, and things got bad enough.
They said, I'm not going to live like this anymore.
They got some self-respect. They started controlling their life instead of just letting their whims and their wants and their, what they see on the computer, what they see on their phone that they want. They, instead of letting the world and everything control them, they took control of their lives. And people are really sad that can't control themselves or have any self-discipline. Well, I just can't have any self-discipline. Yes, you can. You can do anything that these people on here have said. It's just a matter of just deciding to do it and picking up, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps.
Lindsay says, we lived in the Pacific Northwest for 7 years with AC. Even during the heat dome of 2021, when it got up to 120 degrees, we survived without AC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, now you've got to realize, until I was like in my 20s, no, actually almost 25, we didn't have air conditioning. You didn't have a car with an air conditioner. You didn't have a house with an air conditioner. And like I said, we lived in Kansas. We lived in Texas. We lived, in different places where it was very hot. We lived in Florida, Yep.
Oceana says, my electric bill in Florida last summer was $329 for a 2-bedroom townhouse. She moved out of that place.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And that's another thing. You need to check. Do you have good insulation?
Do you close your blinds when the sun is coming in?
When the sun
Do you
comes
open
in?
them in the morning in the winter when the sun is coming in?
Yeah, so it's not an all or nothing necessarily. You can think of ways to do this.
Single Guy says you need to do a live call-in show every day. Actually, we had thought about doing that.
Like
I think we would do good with live call-ins, actually. Well, no, we wouldn't, because we would take too long on each one. But because, see, that's the problem. And please, don't think I'm just sitting here bashing the guy. He has built a multi-million-dollar business.
He's helped
he is
a lot of people.
Brilliant businessman that has helped a lot of people. But like us, if you listen to him, he says the same thing over and over again. Do you have your debt paid off? Do you have your house paid off? Are you investing for your retirement? Okay, then you can do the funds. It's the same spiel. Same spiel for us on groceries. But when people call in, he doesn't actually help them. I mean, he gives them the advice, but just telling them to stop spending, they can't comprehend what it means to eat on $100 a month of groceries, because they don't know how to do that. And that's where we're trying to help you guys. And we're trying more to do. We're going to try some different style of videos coming up in April and May, probably by the time we get them shot. May or June by the time we get them shot, because we're going to have to wait for my kitchen probably to get done. But it's not that difficult. It's really not, but people have no idea where to start.
And there's nothing wrong with you guys for that. If you were never taught, somebody needs to show you,
But at the same time.
Well, that's true. We
have YouTube. We have the internet now. If you are sitting here watching us and somebody else, there's no excuse.
If you just go to our website, we have a post on there how to save on shampoo alone. Save you tons of money on shampoo, just one post on there. And we try to cover every aspect of life on the website. Our videos,
That's why we're called Living on a Dime. And that's actually what really screwed up our business. We really messed our business up big by doing that. But we knew this is a lifestyle It's not just about what you buy at the grocery store.
Yeah, you have to do it in every area.
Groceries are the least of your problems, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Your problems are your car payment, your house you can't afford, your credit card you keep charging on, your iPhone, what number we're on now,
big screen TVs,
computers,
entertainment, going on vacation. And so we have to, we try to show you how to start doing this stuff.
Am I being a little too tough tonight?
Why are they saying you're being too tough?
I shouldn't have talked to Jay this morning, but I was just.
Jay's the guy in the Philippines.
He's my Filipino editor. But I was painting the kitchen today and chatting with him, and I was just like, I was sitting there in my ridiculously expensive kitchen remodel that I actually have saved thousands of dollars on with my tightwad stuff that I do, thinking that Americans have no clue. They really just have no clue about how fortunate they are. They really don't.
We need to be so much more thankful.
More thankful than we are.
Mm-hmm.
Chrissy, my son is finally being more responsible. He now says if he has less than $1,000 in his bank account, he doesn't spend anything. Well, that's good.
That's very good.
Yeah.
I love to see when the young people are learning to do that stuff because they're so inundated with the opposite. And for one to step out, and start doing that, that's really good.
If you don't have the money, don't put it on your credit cards. Yep. We don't. We use our credit cards, but I don't just go buy stuff to buy stuff on my credit cards. I buy stuff on my credit cards because I get tired of keeping track of the receipts, and Walmart and Home Depot can return stuff on the credit card. That's why I use the credit card. But I don't just buy stuff.
If the best thing for somebody trying to get out of credit card debt is to stop using a credit card, period, and just use cash. There's something about handing that money to the cashier and having to actually hand the cash to people that make you see what you're really doing. And then once that money's gone out of your hand, you can't get anything more, And the guy I used to work for, they had problems with debt, him and his wife. And he said, I finally had to get to the point where I left my credit cards at home, and he put $20 in his pocket, and that $20 had to last him all week, including gas. And he said that helped him more than anything. So think of a method that you think might help you.
Yep.
Do we have more questions?
Oh, they're coming so fast I can't even keep up.
No.
Rebecca and Teresa both say, don't even get started on student loans, basically. I summarized both our comments. Don't even get me started on student loans.
Oh, yeah.
Let me just say the short version. Student loans are straight from the pit of hell.
Yeah,
and you should never, I don't care what your parents and your high school counselors have told you. Do not, if you cannot pay cash for college, do not go, period.
Yeah.
If you can't pay cash for it, don't go.
And if you want to go that bad, you can get a job and work to save up the money, and then maybe go to a couple of classes and work full time or something like that. This gal that we were talking about with the $300 grocery bill, she had $73,000 in school loans. She was making $14
an hour.
And she said she's not used that college degree at all. Not used it at all. It was in photography is what she got her degree in.
I feel bad for her, actually, because
she's been
so pitiful
by so many.
She was so duped by these college professors, and now she has to work 80 to 90 hours a week, literally having no life
to pay off for these student loans.
Pay for the student loans.
And it's frustrating to see parents insist that their kids need to go to college because, an education will get you everywhere. No, you're hurting you start your kids out with debt. They start out with tens of thousands of dollars of debt. What kind of parent would want that for their child?
I know.
And you say, well, they're going to get a high-paying job and they'll get it paid off right away. It's not happening that way now. Maybe in your day it did, but it's not happening now.
Elsa says she paid $30,000 on her credit card.
Wow, that's a chunk. Yeah, that's good.
Wait, paid up or paid down? I think she paid off. Well, it says I paid up. So I'm hoping she paid that off.
Yeah, I hope.
But she says no more credit card for me. JL says, get the cookbooks 35% off right now, guys. So this is volume 1, and this is our gluten-free. This gluten-free edition is adapted from volume 1. All of the regular recipes, except that it's gluten-free recipes that have been tested. I'm gluten-free. I don't want to eat no gross food. Volume 2 and volume 1 go together as a set, but you can use them separately. They're all different recipes, all different tips.
For beginners.
This is the one to start with.
This one's good for anybody, really, because just the recipes. And we've got like how to make your own toiletries things, some cleaning stuff, what to do with leftovers, a whole index on leftovers, and basic, easy cooking.
And guys, put in the comments, I'm curious, how much debt have you guys paid off? How much, let's see, what year is this? 2023. Okay, if you guys are paying off debt, tell me how much debt you paid off in 2022 for the whole year. I'm curious to see some numbers for you guys on how much you paid off.
Have been with us for a while, so we'd like to know if
Emily Channel says, I can't wait to get my cookbook. Yay! I'm so glad.
Thank you.
She also says, my brother-in-law can't pay his rent, yet he just bought a $60,000 truck.
Yep. That's it in a nutshell. See, that's what happens.
Yeah. Kimmy, she's in her apron, has many videos using a crock pot. Yes, she does great freezer videos and all of those. Yes. Even with me having no kitchen right now, I still keep my cooking clean up. Easy peasy. Yes. So everyone said, now I have a separate kitchen downstairs, but I don't have an oven. So I have a sink and a refrigerator downstairs. But we have not gone out to eat at all, except for our date night. We haven't gone out to eat at all because the remodel. People were shocked when I said that we were not going to be eating out. We get the air fryer out. We get the toaster oven out. We get the Instapot. Now, you don't need all those things. I have those things because I'm a cookbook author and I use them for my videos. But you could get a hot plate, an air fryer, one or the other. And you could make everything. You could get a toaster oven. You could make 90% of your things with just a toaster oven.
Well, when I remodeled, I had my oven and stove in one room, and I had the refrigerator in another room. I had a baby, a newborn I was expecting, and then I had a baby and I had a toddler. And so the refrigerator was in another room, and I had to wash all my dishes in the bathtub, lean over the bathtub when I was like 8 months pregnant, and wash all my dishes. And all my stuff was in boxes on the floor. I didn't have anything on shelves or anything. I did that for a year before I got my kitchen. And we never went out to eat. I wouldn't have even thought. I had no crock pots. I had no, Instapot. We didn't have no toaster oven. We didn't have anything like that. I did have an oven though, but it was, in another room. So it was hard, but I still didn't go out to eat.
And you make do. Like Mandy said, we had hot dogs tonight. Gas. Yeah. It was on bread. I know. Heaven forbid you wrap a hot dog in a piece of bread and eat it.
One of my grandkids one time, I didn't have any I fixed hot dogs and I thought, I don't have any hot dog buns. And I said, well, I'll just wrap it in a bread. Oh, you can't eat a hot dog in a bread.
It's probably one of my kids too.
You know what's funny about that? The same kids won't eat the heel of the loaf.
Yeah, the same kids won't eat the heel of the loaf, but they'll eat a hard hot dog bun.
Yeah.
But the heel of the loaf has the same coating.
It does. It does. You're right. And so, you need to start retraining your kids too. Not you guys. My grandkids are perfect, of course. But you can do these things. It's just that people don't want to do a lot of this stuff. And it doesn't, like hot dogs. And pick the simple meals to start out with. There's nothing, some of them can be just as healthy as,
Tina says, I had a heart attack. I hope you're okay. My son took me out to Five Guys. It cost $6.99 for one serving of French fries.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a little heart attack.
No, she meant she had a heart attack.
Yeah, I would be in the hospital. $6.99 for a thing of fries?
Well, I always thought they were
goodness.
expensive. I went with somebody took me there one time, and I was shocked. They said, "Oh, it's not bad price," and I about had a heart attack.
She said I had a coupon for Albertsons, and I picked up 50 pounds of potatoes for that. Yes.
Yeah. I'm glad you had a heart attack, though. I'm really glad.
Oh my goodness. Beth Ann says, I'm sorry.
You thought you had
We haven't been to fast food for so long. I really don't know what stuff costs.
No, I haven't
anymore.
either.
It's been months since we've done
fast
food. Although I'll have to say, when my son told me that they did DoorDash for a restaurant across the street from their business, he didn't. His coworker. His mother was like,
Yeah, it's right across the street.
Literally
it's not
across
even
the
a
street.
whole block.
Literally
It's
across
about
the
a
street.
half a block. And they did
Literally.
DoorDash for it.
It says, I have the cookbooks 1 and 2, so you guys know. They are filled with great recipes and so much common sense, an ingredient often missing in today's world. And guys, speaking of missing ingredients, if you need substitutions, we have substitutions in all of our cookbooks. So if you run out of eggs or you can't afford eggs, you can still bake and cook.
Thank you for letting us know that, for telling us the book actually works.
Kimberly says her 11-year-old granddaughter cooks her meals. Good for her.
Oh, yeah.
Nancy says cookbooks would make great Easter basket gifts. Yes.
Oh,
and
yeah, that's
if you
a good
guys are
idea.
ordering for Mother's Day, I don't know who's sharing our cookbooks on social media, but thank you. Who's ever sharing them on Facebook and Instagram and all that, because I get the notices. I mean, I know who you are because I get the notices, but I'm just telling you, thank you, because I don't know who you are in here. But thank you for sharing our recipes and our cookbooks. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we
But
do.
gluten-free is almost sold out. So I think we only have a quarter of a pallet left. I'm not positive. So we may or may not have some in time to be shipped for Mother's Day. So if you're getting them for Mother's Day, you might want to do that now. And Wanda wants to know, where in the index is the coffee creamer? You mean the one in, Mike, send me the next one. The one in
our list of coffee creamers recipes is what she's wanting.
I don't know where it's at. Because it's
Look
600
under Vienna.
pages.
Look under the Vienna coffee maker.
Let me see here just a second. Let me look. Oh, here are, well, the coffees are on around page 38. There's a bunch of them on around page 38. And then let me see, did we put any in 2? I can't remember if I put any. Oh, and then we have like mocha frappuccino and caramel frappuccinos, all those frappuccinos right here in 2. I don't know if those are the ones that you're looking for.
Page 29, was that where they were at?
Yeah. And livingonadime.com, if you type in coffee, I have 10 coffee recipes there for you.
Yeah, you can get them on Living on a Dime too.
Yeah. livingonadime.com. Upstate Housewife says, send me the next ones, Mike. I have 2 parents, 2 teenagers, and 2 dogs myself. So 2 parents, 2 teenagers, and 2 dogs herself. So 5 people, and it's very difficult to survive. I'm spending almost $1,000 a month on groceries. You're not shopping right. Even in New York. I've been to New York. You can do that. If they're big dogs, well, that's your choice to have big dogs that eat a lot. So maybe that's part of it. We do discount food, not cleaning supplies, because we never buy cleaning supplies. So that doesn't include toilet paper and stuff like that, which is about $50 a month for toilet paper and toothpaste and all that kind of piddly stuff. Oh, Celtic says slippers equals flip-flops in the Philippines. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. I did not know that. Kathy Tate, most Americans do not know what it means to struggle. They really have zero clue.
Yeah.
Zero clue. In areas of Pakistan, I saw entire families sleeping on the side of the road. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Stacy. Yep. Jim, it would do us all good to go on a mission trip to a poor country. Yeah. I know. I kept threatening to send my kids to, and actually I probably would have, if we would have had a church when my kids were growing up, I probably would have, just to help them to have that perspective.
Have a perspective, yeah.
Not necessarily as punishment. Parents say that as punishment, which, I mean, I guess if you got a teen that's just totally off the rails, maybe it would help them have a reality check, I guess. But, you know, just to have some perspective of what I had enough of great-grandparents and parents and grandparents who truly lived through hard times that I knew what it was like, even though I didn't live through, like the Dust Bowl, the Depression, and all that.
Well, you're
But
supposed to teach your children all kinds of things, not just physical things, how to do chores and stuff, but emotionally how to grow and to learn stuff. And that gives them a sense of appreciation and thankfulness, because we don't have a lot of thankfulness now, really. We just want more and don't appreciate what we have. And so those things we need to teach the kids. So it's not like punishment to go on a mission trip. It's just to help them learn and grow spiritually and emotionally and that type of thing.
Yep. Sarah, you're so right, Tara. I'm ashamed to say I need the reminder. Well, I'm glad you got the reminder.
Yeah, I think that's sweet whenever for somebody to actually admit and listen.
The problem I'm having with all this.
Do you need me to give you therapy? Do you want to talk to a therapist? Do you want somebody? Should we send you to a therapist?
I need a therapist.
The
problem I'm having with this is people are suffering for no reason in America. And you're doing it to yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't even care that you're doing it to you are torturing yourself. You are stealing from yourself. When you spend $20,000 a year on interest payments alone, which is like 5 months to 6 months worth of income for some people. Why are you okay with that? Why are you okay with spending 5 to 6 months of your life every single year to literally give your money away to someone who does not give a flip about you?
Mm-hmm.
And then you complain and blame the corporations, and it's the corporation's fault for stealing from the little guy. I don't know what got bee in my bonnet today, but I'm telling you, why is this okay? Why do you think this is okay? It is not okay.
Mm-hmm. It was after you talked to our editor in the Philippines. It does affect you when you talk to somebody like that. It makes a difference. I went and was talking to a gal one time, and she was a nurse at the hospital in Wichita. And she was asking, she worked with gals that they rescued from sex trafficking, that they brought them into the hospital when they would rescue them. And I was talking to her, and she said, she said, I asked her if they needed something for the gals, in the hospital when they brought them in. And she said, we need like toiletry bags and stuff and it just broke my heart. She said that they had a gal brought in, and they gave her a hairbrush, and the gal just broke down sobbing. She hadn't been able to comb her hair for 5 years, and to have a hairbrush, to be able to comb her hair. When you talk to people like that, you tend to learn to appreciate, more. And it does make you upset when you hear other people, because we deal with a lot of people that holler and complain to us about how they just, they don't have money for this or that and different things. So it's really hard when you have to go back and forth to both
to deal with the pettiness of it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
The absolute pettiness of the whining and complaining. And you're stressed out and you're having heart problems and you have diabetes because you're eating yourself into an early grave because you're so stressed out, and it's all because you refuse to get a grip. I'm sorry. We all have things happen in our lives, and sometimes life just sucks and you got the short end of the stick. I get that. And yes, get the help that you need and do what you can. But now that you're an adult, it's time for you to take responsibility and get the help you need and move yourself out of the pit. I grew up in extreme poverty. So I could have said, like people I know who are still there, well, I just grew up in this neighborhood in this town, and well, this is all I am. I'm just going to be working at Kmart the rest of my life. I don't have a problem if you want to work that kind of job and you're okay with doing that. That's totally fine. I don't have a problem with that. But when you sit there and whine about how you don't make enough money, and then you don't make any choices to stop spending or to get a better job, I'm not going to give you any sympathy. I'm sorry. I'm not. Okay, sorry. Now back to where we are. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry.
I'm more concerned that things may get harder for
Yes.
people, and we're trying to explain this stuff to you to help you get financially stable now, so that you don't have to deal with a whole bunch of other stuff and with debt if this should happen. I heard I forgot to tell you, I heard a gal say today, she said something about it's not luck. She said, luck only shows up to the prepared. There's a saying that luck only shows up to the prepared, and we're trying to help you get out of debt and get you prepared.
Oh my goodness. Lindsay says, put it in perspective when the news does a dumb segment on how unfair it is that a couple making $90,000 a year can't take their daughter to Disney or do extracurricular activities.
I mean, this is getting just hysterically.
Oh my goodness. That news station is lucky I did not live there, because I would be showing up at their doorstep. Sarah, you're oh wait, nope, sorry, got that one. Lisa, my kids came from an orphanage in Haiti, and they were so excited when they would get beans with one little teeny thing of chicken in it.
I know.
Dried chicken in it.
Yeah.
Man. Little House Off Grid. Hello, Rob, if you're still with me. To confirm your message, my brand new home was $5,000. I know, and I'm so proud of you. And he put another comment how people think it's so awful. He does his laundry, well, his wife, I think, does their laundry in a bucket with a toilet plunger. Off grid. But guess what? They don't do a ton of laundry because they don't change their clothes 3 times a day.
Yeah, you got to just work
They wear
all
the
this
same
stuff out.
clothes. They use a clothesline. Yes, I've seen your skivvies hanging on the clothesline, Rob. And it's like they're actually doing practically what they say they're doing. They are debt free. I personally know him. Well, I haven't been to visit them, but if we go to Missouri, I might be stopping by to say hi. I don't know. We'll see. But what Katie did. Our family lives in Anchorage and lives off of 400 to 600 as a family of 5 with 2 cats. It's possible even here.
Yeah, that's good. Especially Anchorage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little House Off Grid again says, and he has a YouTube channel, guys. You can go watch how he built his little house. It was really fascinating. Spending money is an actual addiction, just like any other addiction. You just get endorphins from spending money. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why stress shopping, see, it makes them feel good.
And that's why I kind of have a problem with me doing these thrift store videos. On one hand, I want to show people what you can buy for super cheap. But on the other hand, I don't want people to think that I just go thrift store shopping just because I feel like getting out. Now, I mean, I'm not going to say I've never done that. I've probably done it a few times.
But that's not your habit.
But
that's
I don't
not your way
do
of
it
life.
every week because I'm stressed out and I got to, if I got to get away from the house, maybe a couple of times. But usually it's because I'm looking for something. Like, I have only been to the Restore once in 10 days now.
Yeah, once.
Now, I went 32 times in 28 days last month, but I saved over $10,000 on our remodel.
But you're not
buying stuff,
you're not
looking
doing that
specifically.
because you're stressed.
I'm doing it because I have
relief.
a purpose.
Yeah, you have something you need to get or you're looking for.
To find kitchen tile for 20 cents instead of $2.50.
That's a totally different thing.
To find the cabinets that I needed for $25 instead of $350 to $800 is what it was going to cost me for this one particular section of my kitchen.
See, one's an emotional need and the other's a physical need. She's shopping for physical needs, and people that stress shop with emotional. And what the problem with that is, you've got to get down to what the root problem is. And I have a story about how if somebody's wandering in the desert, this is what people do when they stress shop. If somebody's wandering in a desert and they're dying of thirst and you walk up to them and they say, I'm dying of thirst, and you walk over and said, you poor thing, let me give you a hug.
Well, you have to find water.
It's, well,
How are you gonna?
well, the thing is, if you give them a hug, you're taking care of an emotional need. You're not fixing the physical need is what they have a problem with. And you're not doing them any good.
Yeah, you have to tell them how to find water.
And so what you need to do is when you're doing stress shopping, you're fulfilling an emotional need. You can't feel a physical activity like stress shopping and spending money. That doesn't fix the emotional need that you have inside. You got to find out what that emotional need is and get that fixed or take care of it. If you're upset with your kids or whatever, you need to take care of that emotional need, not take care of it by going shopping, a physical thing.
Ohio, it is, says people spend too much time comparing their lives to others and thinking they deserve it.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Instead of
so
minding
true.
their own business.
Mhm.
Kimmy says, this may sound cheesy, but when we prayed for guidance in our debt journey, we were active in working it off. We won't believe the doors will open. You have to act.
Yeah,
Yes, you
exactly.
have to act.
You can't just
sit there and do something. You can't
Mhm.
expect the government to make your student loans go away. I'm sorry. I don't think it's going to happen. And let's say it's legally it shouldn't happen.
In a way, you're just expecting the credit card companies to pay for your stuff and take care of it. You know, you're not working hard enough to deal with it.
Cynthia says, how do I find the oldest videos and work my way back? YouTube changed the option. I know, that makes me so mad they did that. I know people who know YouTube, and I should tell them they need to put that option back on there. But Mike, tell them how they can show your face and tell them how they can find the old videos now. Remember, if you do the dash with the date or something now. It's something Mike said. Mike looked it up the other day, and he said something about if you type in the channel name with a dash and then like before year 2020 or something like that. I don't know. Google it and see. There is a way to do it. Mike found it like 3 or 4 days ago. Google it. How do I find old YouTube videos? But you might just have to start rolling your way back.
And if you're looking for something specific, I use the search thing all the time, and I'll just type in.
But it's hard on the phone. See, we use the computer. Most people watch on their phone.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually started using the phone so I could know how people are using it. And I realized it's really hard to find the search on the phone.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Well, on the computer, I just type in whatever word it is that I'm looking for, and it pops up pretty good with all the videos we have for that one subject or whatever.
Yeah. Mandy, your toughness makes me think about rules for kids. They hate them, but they really do love and need boundaries. You know what's hilarious about that is I have 5 children. I don't know how many kids I have.
You must have had a rough day.
I had 4 kids, and then my niece came to live with us. So however you guys want to say that. But 4 of those are adults now. 4 out of the 5 are adults now. And I had 2 tell me, 2 of them, we were talking to 2 of them at different times. One tell me we were way too strict. And then the other one told me we weren't strict enough.
Listen, I'll tell you, no matter what, a parent, you never.
So we're just
it's always
failures,
wrong.
no
it's
matter
always
what.
wrong. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Even when they're in their 50s, it's still wrong.
Diana says, yes, we were never taught. You share so many tips. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I love people that have never been taught to come and ask us questions. I love those because they're wanting to learn. Sometimes when we get upset with things, it's more the people that are whining and complaining and making excuses, because we started out wanting to teach people that had never been taught, you know, these things. And we started gathering in the people that whine and complain a lot then.
Yeah, I don't know. Mike Googled it the other day on how to find the old videos. And it was something about typing in before date or something. But I can just Google it. I don't remember how. Shannon says, I think can you send me the next batch, Mike? I think the thrift store videos are great. It shows people you don't have to pay full price. That's actually the purpose of what we're trying to do for this. And I know it looks like I'm a huge hoarder and I'm buying a bunch of junk. And from the condition of my house, it's a moment you would think so. But I don't buy stuff without actually, well, I shouldn't say that because I have bought some things just because I think they're cute. But I just don't go buy a whole bunch of stuff
Yeah.
randomly.
You have to
Have a purpose for it.
well,
I
and
guess.
you have to reward yourself or whatever you want to call it once in a while. Once you get things under control and you're doing a good job. I knew a gal, she said she was really good about saving money and being careful. And she said she started every week when she went to the grocery store. She hated going to the grocery store. But every time she went, then she finally got to the point where she said, I buy myself a new sponge or a new scrub brush when I go, just to kind of like, it wasn't much and it was something practical, but it made her feel good. Just that one little tiny thing that she was actually, you can't starve yourself totally, but you have to be careful at first, but you can't totally starve yourself too.
Trish says, we know a family who is in Disney World now, 8 days, 4 people, $23,000.
Oh my word. Oh my word. I knew Disney was high,
Unbelievable.
but I didn't know it was that bad now.
Jen says, don't fall for the guilt trip either about student loans. No, God does not want you to go into debt to attend a Christian college, and no, being faithful will not pay them off. That's all I will say. Oh my goodness. Don't get me
Oh.
started on the lawyer who wanted to be a pastor. This was probably 15 years ago now or something. And we got an email. And the lady said, my husband wants to be a pastor, but he has $250,000 in debt because he's a lawyer from his lawyer fees. What should we, or from his
Student loans
to become a lawyer? What should we do? I'm like, you don't do anything. He's a lawyer until his debts are paid off.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a pastor and you have $250,000 in debts because you decided you didn't want to be a lawyer anymore, I'm sorry, that is not a calling from God. That is not, because God calls pastors to be responsible with their money,
Be honorable,
trustworthy, responsible with their families.
You made a contract with them that you would pay them. That's breaking your word. With the credit card companies too, you're breaking your word. You told these people when you used the credit card, when you got these loans, you were going to pay them back. And you're breaking your word and breaking your trust. And God does not honor that. And a lot of people wonder why they had, and I don't think God doesn't punish us in one sense, for like He knows
we're going to do stupid things.
Yeah, He understands that. But don't expect Him to honor you in a lot of things. Maybe you're wanting to get a house and you wonder, why can't we get the money, or why can't we do it? Well, if you've been irresponsible with your money, God's not going to say, well, here, let me, He's not going to give you, if your child did something dumb and you told them not to do this, don't do this, and they go out and do it, you're not going to reward them for doing that. You're not going to do it. And God does us the same way. So sometimes we don't get all the blessings that He'd love to give us just because we're being irresponsible with what He's already given us. If you're going to be irresponsible with that, He's not going to give you more to be irresponsible with.
Renee says, what is the price book? So it's not in print yet. We're going to print it in a couple of months, but it's our price book. It's a digital download.
You need me to turn it for you?
Sorry, guys. I hurt my wrist and I should have kept my brace on. Right here, you can print it. Right now, if you want it, we will give it to you for free until tonight is over. We'll just say it that way.
So in other words,
use the
order
coupon
it
code
before you go to
price
bed.
book. It is only good on St. Patrick's Day. That's how I'll say that. It's only good on St. Patrick's Day. But if you use the coupon code price book, you will get it for free, and you can print this out and take it, or just make your own following our template if you want. Take it to the grocery store so you know what prices are good prices and when they are good prices, so that you're not just buying things thinking they're on sale and they're not. Because a lot of times Walmart will say, like the dumb meme going around, price correction. Our ad said 4 for $10. It's actually 2 for $5. Okay.
Isn't that the same?
Now I get maybe they meant you had to buy 2 to get the $5 maybe and not have to buy 4. I get that. But still.
It helps you too. Like I was looking at, I Albertsons had tortilla shells on sale. And I was trying to remember how much were those at Walmart. I couldn't remember where, if I'd had it written down in the price book, I could have compared
that's
and would
how
have
I know.
known, well, I better get them
Yeah.
at Albertsons because it's cheap.
Kimberly says the gluten-free bread recipe, and yes, it is fantastic, isn't it? She says it's fantastic. Follow it exactly. If you follow it exactly, I guarantee it will turn out, okay? But can you open the books, please?
Open it.
These are brand new books, by the way. Now, Susan says she loves it because they lay flat. We actually did that on purpose, and we pay extra for them.
Tara
to
and
lay
I
flat.
tested. We had them send it because we want
Yes.
the books to lay flat.
We actually pay an extra fee to have
To
this
have it
specific
because
kind of
we
binding.
had to get rid of the other binding, and we weren't happy with getting rid of it.
Yeah.
And we said we want them to be open.
Oh.
And we sat and we practiced on every page to make sure.
And there's the coconut cream pie in the gluten-free, dairy-free cookbook. And it does look like that. It is delicious. That's my birthday pie or cake. You either have a coconut cake or a coconut pie. That's my thing, is I love coconut.
I always bought her
Oh.
a coconut cake for her birthday.
She did. I don't think they've really gone up that much, actually.
Mm-mm.
Trish says in 2022, we paid $18,000 in principal on their mortgage. That is great. Tara, I'm going to make your
Yeah,
favorite
that's
gluten-free bread recipe
job.
on page 76. It was dense, but I'm not sure I made it correctly. Yes. Follow it exactly. I have person after person, and when I talk them through, they either got their water too hot and it killed the yeast, their hot water wasn't cold enough, the water was too hot and it killed the yeast, or the water wasn't hot enough and it didn't activate the yeast. Their yeast was dead. Their baking powder was dead. They used the wrong size pan. They used a different substitute ingredient. Make it like it is first. I guarantee you. And it's only like $1 or so, $1.50 for the ingredients instead of paying $7 for a loaf of gluten-free bread. So yeah. Patty, I made your pot roast recipe this week. Isn't that delicious? Livingonadime.com. It's free. Just go right there and we'll give it to you. My family loved it. It was moist and delicious.
It just crumbles. I mean, it just falls apart.
She used the one with the Catalina. It's the Spanish pot roast in volume 1. That was my recipe. I got one of my first recipes right there. And I loved it. I don't make that often. I should make it again, actually. That's dairy-free. Yeah, that's gluten-free and dairy-free too.
Another thing Tara does that's really good, a lot of times when you make a roast, you'll peel the potatoes and quarter them and stick them in the pan with the roast with some carrots. A lot of times Tara just takes the whole potato, washes it off, sticks it in, the pan with the roast, and those baked potatoes in that juice, they're just unbelievable. The flavor is.
El Gerendum, right?
And that's another thing. You talk about all the messy cleanup and how hard it is. How hard is it to slap a roast in a pan, wash those potatoes off, set them in there, and put the baby carrots in there, put foil on top. You've got one pan when you're done with the whole meal. That's not a lot of cleanup. I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Daniel paid off $1,500. Good job.
Oh, you guys are doing great.
El Jandarin, I don't know how. I'm sorry. 22 paid off $20,000 on our house. Very good. Very good. Good, guys.
We love hearing you guys say this. It's kind of like
Minnie
a teacher.
paid off 8. Very good.
8,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
We are so right. Noelle says, someone said to me, if it's important enough to you, you will find a way. Yep. Yeah. Sprinkling Jen says we paid off $15,000. Very good.
Goodness.
Bounty in the Badlands. We've been debt-free for 11 years. Wow. Patty, what car do you recommend? Toyotas. We stick with Toyotas because they're maintenance. Everyone has told me that Kias are also really good with maintenance. And when we had consumer reports I had to get a consumer reports subscription to look something up. And we looked at their car thing and they said Kias are really good too. So, and all my viewers swear by Kias. I thought they weren't that great, but apparently everybody swears by Kias.
Yeah, my son had one and he loved his.
I thought they hated it, but I guess it was their other car.
Yeah, it was their other car.
Wanda, does anyone have an electric skillet anymore? Yes, I use my electric skillet. almost every day. I use it more than my stove. Now that I have a new stove, I'll probably use it, but it just cooks more evenly.
The electric skillet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I always love my electric skillet.
Grant says, I was peeling and cutting carrots today and was thinking I should time it to see the cost for saving. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now I will say I do buy baby carrots
Well, sometimes I can get them just
because they're the same price
as
as the peel ones.
Mhm.
But when the peel ones are cheaper, then I get those.
Yeah.
But guys, time yourself on this.
Yeah.
Because people get it in their head that it takes so long to cook dinner. I'm not exaggerating when I say my dinner time is 5 to 10 minutes of prep time in the kitchen and about 5 minutes cleanup. I really do not spend more than 15 to 20 minutes in the kitchen. I really don't.
Well, I can honestly say I don't spend any more time than if I had to sit in the drive-thru and wait to get something at McDonald's or sit at a restaurant and wait for them to prepare my food and bring it to me. And driving to and from these places. Oh my goodness, if you add the driving time in, even 10 minutes driving time or 15, I can have a meal much shorter time.
Shannon says, yes, Jill, my mom raised my brother and I on her own after my dad left when we were little. We didn't have all those fancy appliances. I added the fancy, but we made it. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't read the comments, but I could see that was Shannon on there.
We love Shannon's
We
emojis.
do. Yeah, we do love them.
Linda, I used to spend $300 a month on groceries. When I switched to shopping once a month, I reduced it to $150. Very good.
Good.
Didn't know she was impulsively spending. Yep.
Uh-huh. And a lot of times you guys don't really realize what you're doing because you just do it automatically, but just start watching and paying attention.
Tea and books. That's my kind of person. Says, I'm a dedicated cookbook collector. I spent over a year trying to find your cookbooks used. Apparently no one gives them up. I finally gave up and bought them. They're definitely worth it. So we've sold over 500,000. And let me tell you, every time I go to the thrift store, I still look to see.
Never found
it has
one.
been 25 years. I know that they do because people email me and
said
say,
they've
look,
gotten
Goodwill's
them.
selling your cookbook for $750. I'm like, oh, brother.
But I've never
So I know they're
found
there,
one
but
myself.
I've never seen it.
Uh-uh.
And I feel like I will have made the big time when the cookbook ends up at the thrift store and I actually find it. I feel like we will have made it to the big time.
I think that people don't want to get rid of theirs. I see a lot of like these famous chefs and things. I see tons of their books there all the time, even though they're famous. And I think people just have them on their shelves and they never use them. And when they're doing decluttering,
Yeah.
people haven't decluttered with ours. Is what I like.
Marlene says, my husband and I paid off $40,000 in 2022. I got an inheritance from my parents.
Wow, very
good.
good.
See, you didn't just blow it.
Yeah, you did.
You
good.
did something wise with it.
Mhm.
Very good. Kimberly says she's waiting for me to slam my hand on the table and say, get it together, people. Oh, my goodness. People don't know any better. Your message is critical, says Susan. Even though it's frustrating, it needs to be said in today's society. Yeah, but sometimes you just feel like you're talking to a brick wall.
But you know, after the comments
But
we
after
beginning,
reading this, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe somebody's
you guys
actually
are
hearing what we're
encouraging.
saying.
Yeah, you guys always encourage us. You're so good at that.
Lisa said, and thank you.
Yes, thank you very
Lisa
much.
said, I bought a $900 coffee table for $20 at the thrift store. Very good.
Very good. Yes.
Very good. Do you have any more, Mike?
Even doing small things like that makes a big difference. But with you guys encourages, I would always think of it, and I know you get tired of me telling the story, but we couldn't do this without you guys. Between your encouragement, our prayer warriors, and that type of thing, I always think of you guys as the story of Moses when he had to hold out his rod and hold up the rod, and when the rod went down, the Israelites started losing the battle. As long as he kept his arm up in the air, they were winning the battle. And his arms got so tired, he couldn't hold it up anymore. And so Aaron and Hur came along, and each one took one of his arms and held them up. And they won the battle. Moses couldn't do it by himself. Moses was the main character in the Bible. We all have heard about Moses probably, but we haven't always heard about Aaron and Hur that held his arms up. They wouldn't have won without that. And that's what we feel like with you guys and the encouragement you give us all the time. So we do appreciate and thank you guys.
Electro Trio. I don't know what this name is. I think we think about cooking more than we actually hands-on cooking time. Yeah, people
Yeah.
worry more about cooking than it actually takes time to do.
They do the same thing with menu planning. They think they can't cook until they get a menu plan all done out. And then they worry about doing this. They make this huge menu planning. It gets really complicated. No wonder I wouldn't get past the menu planning, part of it if I had to do all that and then cook on top of that. So
we're going to be trying to show you guys how we do that more coming up. My kitchen will probably be done by the 3rd week of April, I hope. And so then that'll give me some time. Well, I might do some in the studio. I'll see.
we could
But-
almost do some in my kitchen too.
Yeah.
If we had to.
You see your kitchen then?
They would see my
Okay,
kitchen.
Mike sent the message. If you want to go to videos from a particular year in the past, then you can just type before semicolon year
It's cold.
or colon. It's a colon? Oh, okay. Before colon year.
And not in. And no space, just before colon year.
So like before colon 2020.
And so if you're like on the Living on a Dime channel where it says videos, there's a little hourglass right there. That's where you type it in if you want to just see our channel.
Okay, I'm going to do it right now so I can see what you're talking about. So you go to the search bar, you said?
Yeah, the little hourglass.
Where is it?
You click videos. Oh, no, there it is right there.
Okay, so the search bar is along the top, guys, after about, and
on
then you
the
type
actual
in,
Living on a Dime
then you
YouTube
type in
page.
what?
You type in before and whatever year you want.
Before colon 2020.
50. Oh, okay.
Ooh, before,
I did 2015. It has
20,
one of us.
before
It's got 2101. That's good.
2010. Let's try that.
Oh, how to fold a fitted sheet.
Um,
That's
Okay,
funny.
very good.
If
It
you
works.
put it in the main YouTube search bar, then it won't
Here,
just
let
search
me-
our channel.
Okay, so let me show you
But
right
you
here.
can-
Here, hold the computer up so they can, or Mike or somebody. Let's see. Can you guys see right there? See how we did that?
And this is the channel here. Back it up just a little. Wait. So you can actually see you can see that's the channel page. And the little hourglass is all the way to the right of this stuff.
Oops.
You might have to actually scroll to the right to get to the hourglass.
Okay. So that's how you do that.
And our very earliest ones were 2008 or 7.
7. Yep.
So you'd have to do like
Mhm.
before 2009 or something if you want to see those.
Yeah. Okay. Now I lost me. Oh, that's bad when I've lost
I
myself.
know.
Okay. You're welcome, Kathy, for the free price book. Okay. Kimmy, why? That's so dumb. Why did they get that? I don't know, but we need to have a YouTubers rebellion, Kimmy, and tell them. Kimmy says she's got a freezer meal in the crock pot tonight. For dinner tonight, yeah. They don't want you to look at older stuff anymore, what Mike said. No, brother. Susie said she got a used #1 cookbook at the thrift store for $12, but it was one of the first things. One of the first she thinks, no pretty cover, but Grace recipes. Yeah.
Mm.
Yep. Did you ever have preserved eggs and lime? No, I have not done that.
Mm-mm.
I hear it's
I've
a really
heard
good way to
about
do
it,
it, but
yeah.
I haven't ever had eggs cheap enough to make it worth trying. Jessica says, just want to say how happy I am that you're live tonight. Yay. She's 100% focused on paying off debt tonight. Very
Very
good.
good.
You go, girl. Emily, the best thing my parents did for me as a teenager was allow me to go on a mission trip at 15 years old. It opened my eyes. Yep.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Makes a difference.
Tammy, I would love to learn how to live on $100 a month for groceries. I keep trying, but I'm still going over that amount. Okay. Well, listen, it depends on where you live. Maybe you live somewhere where it might be $120 for you if you're like Alaska or something. But just keep trying
Mm-hmm.
and don't give up.
Yeah.
And just keep trying new things to help you cut more for the next time. Is it thick, glossy paper on the cookbooks? Yes, it is. Pamela, is flour any good after the best by date? Yes, about 18 months to 2 years. It will have an off smell when it's actually bad. It's not going to poison you or anything. It'll just make your bread taste a little strange.
All the stuff that's past the expiration date won't poison you, like the canned goods and stuff. They'll just smell off the flour and stuff oil stuff will smell off.
Ayla, I think. I found Not Just Beans at a rummage sale. That's the name of our cookbook originally, was Not Just Beans.
Yeah.
Stupid marketing, but yeah. Kimberly, I've been seeing the big screen TVs coming out of Walmart, so taxes must be coming in. Yeah. Guys, don't use your tax refund to buy a TV.
Or
Pay
buy
off your debt.
furniture, new furniture and
Get
stuff.
your pantry stockpile built up so you're not paying full price on groceries all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Deborah purchased our first cookbook at the gathering in Mississippi. Do you know that was 5 years ago, like 2 days ago?
Oh yeah, I saw it come up on Facebook, I think it was, or something.
That was 5 years ago. Can you believe that, Deborah?
Mhm.
Oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it. I was totally shocked. You should do shorts. I have been doing shorts, but people don't like my shorts.
They're not.
We're
watching
trying some different things with the shorts, but yeah. What is my favorite fast dinner to make for a cold spring evening? Fast dinner? So I would say the sausage link, like Polish sausage, and I cut that up with a couple of potatoes
Put them all
and
in the same frying pan with bacon grease.
onions and green peppers. If you have them, these are just optional things, but onions, green peppers, potatoes with bacon grease, and I just fry it all up, and it takes like 10 minutes, and I just serve that. It's really quick and easy. Throw some chicken in the air fryer, or make up some rice and have some baby carrots and sliced cucumbers or sliced oranges, apples, anything like that you could do. Any of those are really good. Yeah, I mean, you could
Just
do that.
just always get your meat out the night before, like a chicken, and then you can stick it in the oven and have it all ready to stick in the oven and everything. And then it's really easy to add the sides, like the sliced vegetables or sliced, tomatoes, sliced oranges, slices of apple. You don't need to do a whole big fancy salad or, mixed stuff for the sides necessarily.
Kimmy, listen to Cat Lover. This is Tara telling you. Kimmy tried a new style of video, and her people were complaining, and I'm like, Kimmy, your video looked really good. Just ignore them. And see,
Cat Lover liked it.
She agreed.
Yeah.
I think if you did a poll, you would find people loved it way more than they didn't.
The thing is, the negative ones always
They're the
holler
ones that
louder.
are always, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Stephanie has been with us since the 90s. Since we started in 1999, you've been with us all 25 or 97, I guess.
Oh my
25
goodness.
years, Stephanie. Holy
That's some
moly.
kind of an anniversary or something.
Are you off my list?
Yes.
Did you get the one Pamela asked a couple times about if you would use flour past the decimal?
I answered it.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's faithful.
That's great. Do you have
That's
the
almost
new,
as long as their marriage.
if you don't have the new books, it is as long as we're married. I mean,
Just about. Just
yeah.
a few years short.
If you don't have the new books, Stephanie, email me and I will send them to you on us. That if anybody who's been with us for 25 years
That
deserves the
deserves
news book.
something.
So if you don't have the new books, holler. Editor@livingonadime.com and just tell me. My assistant will get it, but just say that I told you to email for your books. Karen, please pray for me. I need to read my Bible. Hard to concentrate. What is wrong with me? Satan just doesn't want you to read your Bible. So
Yeah.
first of all, make sure you have a Bible that's easy to read.
Mm-hmm.
King James is a perfectly legitimate version, but there are lots of other legitimate versions like the New Living Translation, the New International Version, the English Standard Version. Those are all easier to read in a modern day language. And so if you don't have one, why don't you try that also?
Another thing is, like, I watch Pastor Jack Hibbs. He gives a lot of verses when he does his message. So I take my Bible and I'll open my Bible up with the verses he gives, and I'll read that. And what happens is I'll pause it, the video, and then I'll read that in my own Bible. And after I read that, I think, oh, I didn't see this down here farther. And I'll find myself reading and getting interested in reading the rest. So sometimes if you're having trouble with that, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just like Tara said, Satan doesn't want you to read it. But put like Pastor Jack Hibbs, any other pastor that you like that gives scripture, pause the video and take your Bible out and read it and see if that doesn't help.
Yep. Jackie, that's because the price book coupon code is Pricebook, all one word, not with a space in between. That's not why it's not working. Barbara, funny story. I was literally about to purchase your cookbook when I heard you say I have never purchased anything over my phone. So I put my phone down and didn't complete my order.
That one backfired. Oh, that's good. That is so good.
Okay, just shot myself in the foot on that one. And for those of you wondering, yes, we get royalties from our book. It's called our business. We invest literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in printing costs to print the books. We invest our own money to do that. We have 25 some odd pallets of books sitting in our 8 bays of our garage right now that we paid for. It's called being a self-published author. So we don't get royalties. And we did it that way because instead of getting like 10%, we get a way bigger percent by printing it ourselves instead of going with a publisher. So,
yeah, because you have to give a big chunk to the publisher.
Yeah. And the reason why is because publishers are taking the risk of their own money to print your book, which you may or may not sell. And so that's why publishers
so we take
do
that risk instead.
As far as the East is from the West, we have been doing this since the 90s. Yes, 25 years. I started chatting on 1997 not frugal living, but on pregnancy boards, and people started asking me questions. So I was answering their questions on how to save money, and that's kind of how I got the idea. All right. Sometimes I take a break from reading the Bible for a few days. Kimberly says, yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's
helps okay.
Too.
But
and you don't have to do it exact time every day. Sometimes mornings I get phone calls or different things happening. So mornings don't always work for me, and that's fine. I'll just in the afternoon, or just like I say, if I'm watching something on YouTube, I'm not even planning on having my Bible reading, but I'm watching something and they bring a verse up. So I think I'm going to look this up and see what it says. And so it can be any time during the day. You don't have to sit there for like 3 hours and read your Bible, nonstop or something.
Cat Lover says, I love the cookbooks because they are easy recipes and what I ate as a kid. They are time-tested recipes. Yes.
They are old-fashioned recipes. They really are.
Yes.
You see all this stuff on depression recipes and stuff and that's all that we've got. We've got all those things.
35% off right now, guys. Our Saving in the Green sale. 50% off our ebooks and 10% off our undated planner right here, 400 pages, 365 days, but it's undated, so you don't lose any months. You can just start right now at the very beginning and work your way through. And if you need an easy to read Bible, we offer those for free. Mike will put the link in there. If you need a Bible, we are happy to give that to you also. And you can go to livingonadime.com and click on the shop and find all of those. And we will see you guys next time.
Bye-bye, guys.